Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to conservation and careful management of the state's forests to make them more resilient and better habitats for wildlife. ChooseWood.com.
Welcome to St. Louis on the Air. I'm Don Marsh. Jenifer Lewis. She has hundreds of credits on her resume and co-stars in the ABC hit Blackish. She's in town this weekend to talk about her new memoir. It's titled Mother of Black Hollywood. It tracks the highs and lows of her long career. Jenifer, so nice to talk to you.
Hello, St. Louis. Hello, Don. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome home, even if it is long distance.
I can't wait. I think I'm landing tomorrow at Lambert Field, and I'm very excited to be coming home.
You know, that excitement came through in an article I read in the St. Louis American talking about you coming back, and you're really excited to be back.
Well, Kevin Johnson called and introduced me from the St. Louis Post, and I was I had just gotten some great news about the show Blackish being nominated for an Emmy Award, and I was so excited. And I said something that, you know, when you're in the moment, I said something that when I read the article, I was like, yeah, that's right. I am coming home to say thank you. Thank you to Kinloch, Missouri, where I was raised and went to high school there. At that time, it was an all-black community sitting on the border of Ferguson, Missouri. And, you know, even as a child, I was warned never to go to Ferguson alone, even back in those days. So when it did explode, I wasn't surprised. But here, I know there has been so much progress made, and I'm very proud to come back home. I talk about Kinloch. I talk about St. Louis. Remember that commercial, St. Louis has it all from A to Z?
Oh, absolutely.
I used to love that commercial. The Arch and the Zoo, they are my favorite places.
But you don't have a chance to go back as often, maybe, as you'd like.
Not as often as I did when my mother was still here, but I do. Coming home to Webster University, my alma mater in Webster Groves, is oh my God, the nostalgia. You know, I was 17 years old when I was on that stage back in 80.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was 70-something. I graduated from Kinloch High School in 1974 and went straight to Webster College. It was a college at the time. Now it's Webster University. And the president, Dr. Elizabeth Strobel, was kind enough to give me the theater to do this event Saturday at the Loretta Hilton Theater, because we were going to come home for the book tour at the St. Louis Library. But they said the volume of calls, they called me, they said, Miss Lewis, the library can't handle this crowd. So I was very happy when Dr. Strobel gave me the Loretta Hilton Theater.
Well, as you say, you spent a lot of time on that stage when you were a student, and then it didn't take very long after you left Webster to find a job.
Oh, I see you've read the book. Well, I got my
parts
first
of it.
Broadway. Yeah, I got my first Broadway show in 11 days after graduating from Webster College. Yeah.
What was the show?
UB Blake's Music. It was called UB. It was a Broadway musical review of UB Blake's music. You remember, I'm Just Wild About Happy.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that was his.
UB had a
beautiful show.
UB had a good run, too, on Broadway, didn't it?
Yes, he did. I think he passed away I know I was at his 100th birthday party at the Ambassador Theater in New York. But I think he lived to be 102. He was a beautiful man, filled with great music.
Indeed. What does it take, Jenifer, to move from Kinloch, Missouri to Broadway success? What do you have to have? What are the ingredients for that kind of success?
Well, here's the thing. You know, I found out at a very early age that I was an alpha female. You know, I was president of my class at Kinloch High School. I was captain of the cheerleading squad. And when I got to Webster University, I was cast in every play. I had, you know, later on in life, Don, when I entered therapy, because I am bipolar, my therapist gave it a name. She called it soldiers. She said, I've never seen anyone who has soldiers like you. There's something inside of me that just, Don, it's a gift. Let me just be honest. It's a gift that I have tried to honor my entire life the best I can. A lot of ups and downs that I talk about in the book, being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I think I was 32 when I was diagnosed. But up until then, you understand the mania that comes with bipolar disorder is one of the energies that compelled me to go forward, go forward, go forward. And I had been trained in college and, of course, high school to apply the steps, the intellectual steps in order to make those moves. But yes, I will admit that the mania of bipolar disorder is one of the things that drove me. You see, those are extreme emotions. The highs are very high, and the depression is the low of the disorder, and that is very intense and extreme. But I think because, and this is the truth, and this is why I'm coming home to St. Louis to say thank you, it was my high school teachers and my college professors who took me by the hand in those days in St. Louis, and they saw something special. And they nurtured me, and they loved me. They knew there was something special. Bipolar disorder is not a personality disorder. It is a chemical imbalance in the brain. But I had developed a fun-loving personality, and of course I was the class clown, and I had that urge in me. I wanted to be famous. Wait a minute. You know what? I'm going to tell you a story right quick because I want the world to know. I don't think it's in the book. One day when I was sitting watching my black and white television in Kinloch, the PSAs back then that would talk about the starving children in Africa, they were very vivid in those days. They would show the liquid in their eyes, the snot in their noses, and the flies on their faces. Well, I was sitting there eating some cornflakes. I'll never forget it. And I saw those children with the malnutrition stomachs sticking out. And I sat there, and I said, if I can be famous, then I can be rich. And if I can be rich, I will feed those children.
And
a lot of people don't know that story. That is how it started with me. I wanted to be famous, to be rich in a little girl's mind so that I could grow up and feed those children.
And how did that turn out? Have you been able to do that?
When you grow up and you learn that you can't save the world. But what I was able to do was at least take care of one. I joined the Big Sister, Big Brother program as part of my own therapy to try to heal the child in myself, to give a little girl what I had not been given. And I was able, her mother was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when she turned 12. I had met her when she was 7, and then I adopted her because her mother could no longer, and her name is Charmaine. She has been the joy of my life. And you find when you grow older that if you can just get one child, and that's why I always promote that people go out and mentor a child, join these programs. And in the world that we're living in right now, we really have to pay attention to the children and the millennials. I have a huge internet following right now because I am in direct contact with the millennials. I'll tell you why. Because over the years, after playing the aunt on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, then I played the mother in 58 movies, and now I'm the grandmother on Blackish. You see, these kids were raised with me. So I have that sort of special connection as the matriarch. And they are really, I tell you, Don, I could say good morning on the internet and it'll get, 1 million views. I'm like, they're like, she said good morning. Did you hear her say good morning?
Well, that's a pretty good following to have, because the millennials, there are about 80 million of them, and the largest demographic group.
And I've written 3 songs telling them to register the vote and to get out and vote. And let me tell you, they are going to. They know now. They know. These kids are smart. They're running for office now. I'm very proud of them. A lot of them write in and say, Miss Lewis, please don't stop encouraging us, And with the book, The Mother of Black Hollywood, what I did there, Don, is I gave my entire heart and soul. I have never known how to half-ass do anything. I do it with 2,000%. Now, mind you, that could have bounced off the bipolar mania, but some parts of that it worked for me. See, mental illness, a lot of people in my business have mental illness because we are able to hide that extra, let's say animation, for lack of a better word, that animated acting we do that shows that extra list that we have, like Robin Williams, Linda Hamilton. These were the people, Jim Carrey. These are the people who have come out. Mariah Carey have come out with bipolar disorder.
Carrie Fisher.
And absolutely. Oh, Carrie Fisher was a good friend of mine, and I actually met her when she did her show on Broadway about her mental illness. And honored her for using her artistry to cross over into activism. And right now I'm I speak at many mental illness fundraisers and lecture series. And, I've devoted my life. Look, Don, I tell people this. I've had my day in the sun. And now I feel like I am the sun. All I want to do is shine the light that, you see here, I don't take responsibility for myself. So many people encouraged me and helped me get to where I am today. And I'll tell you, after 4 Broadway shows, 492 episodic television shows, and I think it's 58 or 68 movies I've done. My greatest achievement is not only my daughter, but my greatest achievement is that I went and took care of myself. I stayed in therapy for 17 years, twice a week.
I want to come back and pick up on that point, because there's some interesting things, obviously, to talk about. We have to take that break. We're talking with Jenifer Lewis. She is appearing at 2 p.m. on Saturday at the Loretto Hilton Center for Performing Arts. She'll be talking about The Mother of Black Hollywood, her book, and many other things as well. Back with her in just a moment. This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio, 90.7 KWMU.
Thank you for listening to this St. Louis on the Air podcast, supported by University College at Washington University, with undergraduate and graduate programs part-time, evening, and online. University College at Washington University, offering world-class education within reach.
And welcome back to our conversation with Jenifer Lewis, the author of The Mother of Black Hollywood. Jenifer, how difficult was it for you to sit down and write about some of the low points of your life? You've talked about the bipolar situation, but there was a period of sex addiction, sexual abuse. Was it a catharsis for you to do this, or really, really difficult?
Well, it was an amazing process, Don, an amazing process. I had no trouble talking about the trials and tribulations of my life. The most difficult part of the book was when I realized that my friends had died so quickly during the AIDS epidemic. They had, they dropped like flies in the 80s and early 90s. And I realized they had all died so quickly, I didn't have time to mourn them. So I found myself mourning them as I wrote their names in the transcript. And because, I'm in show business, we took an insane hit. I was doing Dreamgirls, and most of the chorus members died. I mean, it was that kind of horror when the AIDS epidemic was at its height. But I have always combined my show business efforts with activism. As I'm touring the country right now, I went to Detroit, of course, and I went to Flint, Michigan, and met with the water warriors there. Mm-hmm. I went to Fort Lauderdale, and I met with some of the children from Parkland, the high school that was shot up. I'm not just doing a book tour. I'm in the trenches. The country's going through so much right now. And I also had a con artist come into my life 3 years ago. And when I released that story and the court records, unashamed, though it was a difficult decision to share my personal life with the world, after I did that, in order to help other women and people who are being conned, there's so many scams, after I released that to the public, I wasn't ashamed to release any of these other stories about my sex addiction and molestation. The pastor of my church molested me when I was there in St. Louis. I was 13 years old. And these are the things I'm talking about on stage, real life issues that people are dealing with every day. And I'm telling you, there's 75-year-old women come up to me at these book signings and will tell me, thank you for being so free and so raw and honest. And people are starving for the truth out there. You got to understand, Don, I've been to New York and Atlanta, Chicago, Los Angeles, and I'm feeling the temperature and the temperament of the country. And people are starved for the truth. They're starved for honesty. I mean, we're in a world now where fake news and altered facts and, oh, my God. So what I'm feeling out there in the United States as I am touring is people are just hungry for kindness. They're hungry for, I don't know, just hearing the truth, because what's happening now, and I don't want to put anybody down. I'm not a negative person, but what's going on right now is something. It's like almost like an altered reality, and people are having what they're calling what is the derangement syndrome. It's that so many things are happening. Yeah.
So post-traumatic stress syndrome. People are being pounded by all of this stuff, and it's relentless.
Absolutely. Every day it's a new lie. Every day it's a new threat. And I think one of the most harmful things that happened was our president saying that he could go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and not lose a vote. What that said was go on and do whatever you want, and there will be no consequences. And people they are shooting up concerts. They're shooting grocery stores. We had a person die in a grocery store here in Los Angeles the other day. I was 5 minutes from that Trader Joe's as that was going on. The helicopters were right over my head. I was at a dinner party. And so we're living in volatile times. But when I first started touring, I would say we're living in dark times. But I don't say that anymore. I say we are living in awakening times. It's time for people to wake up. Right cannot be wrong and wrong right now.
Well,
we can't grow up. Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say, stay active on that internet because I think a lot of people need to hear the message you have. Our time is beginning to wind down, but there's another thing I wanted to get to with regard to your career and Blackish. I read the other day that one of your stars, Anthony Anderson, has been accused of assaulting a woman, and that program might be in some jeopardy. Can you enlighten us on that?
Well, I will say this. I personally know nothing about it. Of course, I've heard about it. I've heard that only a report has been filed, no charges or any of that. So I think we are right now in a waiting game to see exactly what is going to happen. Because after the Me Too movement and after everything that's going on and women fighting back now and women rising up and people rising up to say no more, that no one is going to grab us by our pussies anymore after the president said that, people have had enough. People have had enough of being, women have had enough of being touched inappropriately. And I'm not just saying women, men also. I can't tell you the men that come up to me having read my book and saying, Miss Lewis, I was also molested. So these are awakening times. These are not dark times. We are not going to let any government, including our own, change how we interact with each other. Here's the word I'm looking for. Change our humanity. We have to understand that if you shoot somebody, no matter who you are, there are consequences. There are consequences.
Well, yeah, there certainly should be. We have a caller, Jenifer, who wants to...
By the way, if you molest or shoot, and the bottom line is, I don't care if it's Anthony Anderson, I don't care if it's Roseanne Barr, I don't care if it's Jeffrey Tambor or Harvey Weinstein, I don't care who you are. Humanity is first. We have to respect each other and love each other.
Well, it's great to hear.
Now we have...
Great to hear your
have a question.
passion. We have a caller who may or may not be someone you know, but let's bring him in. It's Fred calling from Glendale who wants to say hi. Go ahead, Fred.
Yes, hello. Don, I was wondering, this is something a little lighter, by the way.
That's okay.
I was wondering if your guest was familiar with Alberta Hunter, who was a singer from the 20s.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, I wish she's one of my favorites. I can't believe you know Alberta. You must be an old-timer.
Timer, but I didn't know her from those days, even from my father's old 78 record collection. She made a record in her 70s, and I came across that record, and she did some of Hubie Blake's material.
Absolutely, yes. Oh, you made me so excited. I saw Alberta Hunter when she was 70 years old. She made a return, and she performed at the Cookery downtown in New York City. And yes, she did do some of Hubie Blake's music, and I got to meet her. She became a nurse. She had a beautiful career as a young lady. I think it was back in the, would it be the 30s, 40s? Yeah.
Yep.
And then she went off and became a nurse and then made a comeback. Alberta Hunter. My favorite is she sings, I'll be down to get you in a taxi, honey. Please be ready about 8:30. Oh, baby, don't be late. I want to be there when the band starts playing. Hey! Oh, no, I love Alberta Hunter. Yes.
Well, glad that Fred made that call, and that gave you a chance to sing a little bit for us, Jenifer.
And I'm going to be singing at the Loretta Hilton also.
That's what I just wanted to bring up. From what I understand, you're not just going to stand there and talk. You're going to be there's going to be a lot of action on stage.
Oh, absolutely. You can imagine from this interview, multiply this interview about 10 zillion times, and that's what you're going to get on the stage at the Loretta Hilton on Saturday.
And that's going to be happening at 2 o'clock on Saturday. We have to end it here, Jenifer Lewis. I want to thank you so much for being with us and making some very, very good points, and in many other ways just brightening our day. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Don. Thank you. And I'm a big fan of yours also.
Oh, you're very sweet to say that. Thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday. This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio, 90.7 KWMU.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, providing more than 41,000 jobs in the production of wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details at choosewood.com.